In this program, we're going to simulate sort of a larger program that has a whole bunch of functions and just sort of see how they interact. So what we're going to do is create a program that will race some horses against each other. The user will try to pick which one they think will be the winning horse, and they may gain some points. So there's going to be some randomization in this. So the first thing that we'll have to do is include our time library. So include time.h, and then we're going to start off with our srand time null code to randomize the first number, and then we'll declare our variables. So there's going to be 3 horses in this race, so h1, h2, and h3. So these integers will represent the horse distances, which is going to be from 0 to 10. So when they're 0, they'll be at the starting line, and when they're 10, they're at the finish line. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to set some proficiencies. So some of the horses will be better at racing than others. So we'll go proficiency 1, P2, and P3. So this is horse proficiency. So higher numbers will create a horse that has a better chance of winning the race. Int pick, this is going to be the user's guess at which one will be the winning horse. And then we'll have the score, and this is the user's score. I'm not going to put a comment on it because I think that one's self-explanatory. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set horse proficiency. So set horse proficiency. And we're going to do this by P1 equals a random number. So random, we'll go modulus 81 plus 10. And then we'll do this for all 3 of them. So I'm going to do a bit of a copy and paste here. And make sure that you, of course, set this to P2 and P3. Okay, so now the horses will have different abilities to be able to run the race. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the user make a pick, but I'm not going to prompt in the main program. I'm going to use a function to do this, and then I will also be showing a little bit of their chances of winning the race. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a setup function, and then this is going to be based on proficiency 1, P2, and P3. And inside that one, the user will be prompted for which one that they think should win, and then that result will get stored in pick. So pick is an integer. So we're putting something into the integer, so whatever setup returns has to be an integer. So when we're creating it, it's going to be int setup, and then we'll put the parameters here. So int p1, int p2, int p3. There we go. So now what we'll do is we'll show the user the chances that each of the horses is going to win the race, and then let them make their selection. So we'll put a pick variable in here. So you don't need to bring pick from the main program into this function. We're just going to create our own. So we'll see out probability table. And then here we'll see out, so horse 1, the probability that this horse will win is going to be their proficiency times 100. So we'll represent this as a percentage. divided by the sum of P1 plus P2 plus P3. Okay. It's sort of like this is going to represent the percentage part that this horse has of the whole, which is this value here. And then we'll set a percent sign here just to finish this off. Okay, so we need one of those for each of the horses. So I'm going to do a little copy paste here. The second line is, instead of horse 1, this is going to be horse 2 based on proficiency 2. The third line is going to be horse 3 based on proficiency 3. And now I'm going to prompt the user for their pick. So cout and enter your selection. Okay. Oh, no, not an endl there. There we go. So we'll prompt them for their pick, and then we will return it to the main program. Okay, so that one's taken care of. We've got the first part of our program complete. So now back to the main, and then we're going to continue on from there. So in the main program now, what we want to accomplish after we have done the setup is that we are going to set up the actual race. So here, H1 is going to get the value 0, H2 is 0, and H3 is 0. So all the horses are going to be returned to the starting line. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a function called race show, which is going to give a visualization of how far all of the horses are at this point. So in order to do that, it needs to know their distances. Which at this point will all be 0, but that is fine. Okay, so now is this one void or does it have a type? Now we're not storing it anywhere. We're not using it in a conditional statement. We're not outputting it. This is just a function that is going to do a thing. So this is a void one. So void race show, and we need int h1, int h2, int h3. Okay, those are the values that we need for this. So in this case, what we want to do is we're going to kind of show a track, and I'll put a little separator here. So we'll start it with an endl. And we'll put a for loop here because this is, if I need to put like a bar of something, I often like to use a for loop so I can just count how many I'm doing. So I is less than 15, I plus plus. So we're going to start this with 15 dashes, and that's going to represent the side of the track. Then what we'll do after that is we'll do an endl, and now we're going to use a function to show the individual horse distances. So we're going to do horse show on h1 and horse show on h2 and horse show on h3, and then we'll do the bottom of the track. So for, oh, you know what, why am I retyping it? I can just copy paste. Okay, and then we'll cout endl when we're finished. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do there is I'm going to be showing the horse race, and now I need to do the individual horses. Now, if I want to do this, remember that it needs to be done above race show. You can't do horse show underneath. So this is going to be void horse show int let's say horse and int distance. So I'll completely spell them out here. So what we're going to do is we're going to see out, this will be, we'll say which horse we're doing first. Whoops. Horse. And then we'll put a little space here. And then we'll use a for loop to indicate where the horse is. So for int I equals 0, that'll be distance 0, while I is less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. Fix that up. Okay, so now here, what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if the distance is I, then that is where the horse is. So we are going to then see out our capital H for that horse. Otherwise, so else if I equals 0 or I equals 10, these will be where the beginning and ends are. We'll see out a vertical line. And otherwise, we're going to see out a dash, which is going to show like the lane that the horse is in. And then we'll see out and L. Okay, so now is a good time to just sort of verify that things are working properly. Okay, so I've got an error in horse show here. Oh, what I've got to do is, I forgot I was going to indicate which horse number each of these is. Okay, there we go. We'll run that again. Okay, so here we go. We've got a probability table now. I imagine that horse number 3 will win because it's got a much higher percentage than the others. So right now I'm going to select 3, and then it will show us the starting of the race. So what's going to happen is these little H's are going to move along the track until the end, and we'll see how to do that in the next video.